Thanks everyone for coming. So this class is part of the Superstar series that I'm doing, and it's basically a retreat I went to in Florida in October called the Real Estate Superstar. Anyway, so I took 46 pages of notes in 4 days.
Oh my.
And there was just so much good information, so I'm just kind of breaking it down and teaching basically what I learned then. So the first class was on goal setting, mindset, and motivation. And each one you can kind of jump in or jump out. So this class is going to be all about different sales skills, specifically to selling real estate. Hi there. So I'm breaking it down into 3 parts. Basic fundamentals that every real estate agent should have and do. And then 2 different skill sets. Some that really need to be developed as you're working in your career, and some that should just be mastered, and things that you work on and practice every day. So under fundamentals, the first point that I have is managing your time efficiently. So it doesn't have to be super complicated, but you should have a working schedule every single week. I plan mine around my 2 daughters, so I make a point to not work at night or on the weekends unless I absolutely have to, and I schedule my day between the time that they're in school that I don't have them to get everything done that I need to do. And managing your time efficiently, I think the first thing that should be on there is designated time that you're going to lead generate. Designated times that you're going to go on appointments. And then, even on top of that, you can designate time. This is when I'm going to exercise. So I think the more managed your time is, and it sounds complicated, the more freedom you really have. That's how I feel anyway. Okay, so number 2 is finding buyers and sellers every single day. So every day you should try to find new buyers and sellers every single day. And it's funny, at Power Hour, a lot of times, I see different agents come in and out, and we were just talking about this morning, that some agents will come and they'll make an appointment, and then we won't see them for like a month, because they're working on their appointment. They're working on, I don't know what the heck they're doing, but when they're not busy anymore, then they come back. And I think it's really should be looked at as this is something that you should build every day. And most agents get overwhelmed, and we're going to talk about all that good stuff too. All right, so that leads to number 3, strong lead follow-up. And I think, there's another point on it in here. So, and it, again, doesn't have to be super complicated. I'll give you a quick example about follow-up and how it works. So I go on a listing appointment, and I know she's interviewing 6 agents. So, I'll follow up on the lead, I make the appointment. After the appointment, I follow up again. Just want to make sure, that I'm available if you have any questions, anything like that. When she's interviewing other agents. So I call back again and say, it's just all about follow-up. And then this morning she calls and says she was going to hire me. And it's because of the really, really strong lead follow-up. Anne-Marie hears me joke about this. I become like the real estate stalker. And it's okay, because the really motivated clients are going to appreciate it. And the ones who aren't, you don't want to work with them anyway. Hi guys.
Hi.
How are ya? So you haven't missed much. I basically just said I'm reteaching. I went to a retreat in October, and it was the Superstar retreat, and I took 46 pages of notes in 4 days, and I'm just breaking everything down and teaching. So this one is all about sales fundamentals and skills and developing skills. So we're still on fundamentals. So strong lead follow-up. I've also done this, my lead follow-up folder, and I've decorated it with money signs. And I follow up on this folder every day, and I take really good notes. And then one thing I started doing, Olga, you'll love this, is on my leads, I'll start writing the amount that I would make if I sold them. So I'm calling through 9,000, 7,500, 5,000. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it becomes fun. All right, so strong lead follow-up. And I can't stress that enough. The fortune is in the follow-up. So pre-qualifying buyers and sellers, now obviously not working with buyers or sellers that are not pre-qualified. Showing property only to qualified buyers. I take it a step further. I say I only work with my A+ buyers, and different things work for different people's business. But for me, I'm only gonna work with buyers who are referred to me from past clients. I'm gonna work with buyers who are buying one of my own listings. I'm gonna work with buyers who I've made homeless, so I sold their listing and they need to find another house. These are my A-plus buyers. These are the ones that I work with. But if you're gonna work with buyers, just, you know, it should go without saying that they should be qualified. Going on listing presentations is number next, whatever number that is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you're going on listing presentations, what I've been tricking my mind to do is make it a performance. So, you know, you're there, it's showtime. And when I'm in the car before I go on the listing appointment, I kind of remind myself, okay, it's showtime, time to turn it on. So, you know, too many times I've gone into listing presentations, I'm still thinking about stuff, and I go in and, you know, so you have to really perform every time. Handling objections, next. So this is easy. It's not, I keep saying, none of this is complicated. It's all super easy. And the great thing I think about handling objections is, you know, as long as real estate's been, you know, the objections never change. They're the same every single time. Like, the objections never ever change. Will you reduce your commission? My friend's in the business. I don't know, give me any objection. You know, we've heard them all before, we know them all. So learning the handlers and, you know, kind of practicing, okay, when they say this, I should say this, and these are my objection handlers, and you can win every time. Negotiating contracts. I think a lot of times for newer agents, and me included, when I first got in the business with regards to negotiating, it sounds like the scary, difficult thing. But really all it is bringing two parties together. You know, you're not going to make everybody happy, but doing what you can to make the deal work. So negotiating, I mean, it's nothing more than trying to get everybody to come to the same page. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Who you talk about negotiating?
You get an offer in on one of your properties.
Oh, that way, okay. I didn't know if you meant your rate, that you charge.
That's negotiating as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you're negotiating that as well. You know, and all I can say is, that listing appointment I was telling you guys about that I was following up with, another agent came in and was offering them a much less commission. And I kind of stood my ground on my commission, and I won. And I was like scared, should I have cut it? Should I have done that? Yeah, I just want the whole thing. But that's all negotiation as well. Yeah. Hey Nancy, we're still on fundamentals, so you can catch up.
You might need to back that up.
You want me to start over for you?
No.
Okay, fine. So we're under fundamentals. I'm breaking it up into 3 parts. So basic fundamentals, these are skills every agent should fundamentally have. Skills that should be developed, always be developed, and then skills that you can really master. So we're still on fundamentals. Here's a fundamental. This is my absolute favorite one. You guys are gonna love it. It's cashing checks. It's a skill. You know, you have to go to the bank, deposit it into your account, and if you're going to be in real estate business, you have to get used to developing that skill. I'm very skilled at developing.
That's an easy one.
All right, the last one is not easy, and it's starting at 0 every day. And this point is in here a couple of times, and it took me years hearing this over and over and over before it really clicked at me what starting over every day is. So I look at it as basic complacency. You know, a couple of weeks ago I was freaking out. It's the holidays, you know, things are much slower this time of year. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, I've got like all these listings coming in. And I know for me, okay, I can calm down now. I have all these listings coming in, I have a few pendings, I'll be all right. And then, you know, I'm shopping instead of working. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So it's kind of like, don't rest on your laurels, because, you know, next week things fall through, they decide to list with another. You never know what's going to happen. So coming in every single day is if you have no pendings, you have no listings, and you're just starting over. So you guys can ask questions at any time if you want, just so you know. Okay, and then I made a little side note before we talk about development, is that frustration is really the cause of all growth. So if you're frustrated, that's a good thing because you're growing. So just keep that in mind. It's so easy to get frustrated in this business, and just know that, this is growth. This is a good thing. When you're frustrated, it's actually good. That's a mindset thing. Okay, so skills development. These are skills that should be developed constantly. The first one is a lesson I've learned the really hard way, and that's regular follow-up with your past clients and your centers of influence. And you can define regular. Regular for me is getting them on a campaign and physically calling them once a quarter, getting something in their hands in the mail once a quarter. But, define what that is for you. But as long as you're following up with them regularly, it's a hard thing. Sometimes I don't call past clients, and I called one who was like 2 months ago, and I had a great transaction with her. She gave me a review on Zillow, and I sent her a Starbucks gift card. She gave me a positive review, and I sent her a Starbucks gift card, and I didn't talk to her since then. I'm thinking, she loves me. She got a gift card. She loves Starbucks. She gave me a great review. She bought a house with another agent in Fairless Hills in May. Because after I sent that Starbucks gift card, I didn't follow up with her again. I didn't know she was going to move back from Jersey back to PA, so I kind of let her go. So it's a really hard lesson learned, but keeping in touch with them, and it doesn't have to be obnoxious. Just hey, how you doing? Even if you don't ask for a referral, just touching, keeping yourself in their top of mind awareness, because that's where the source of your business is going to come from 10, 20, 30 years from now when you're still in the business, is your past clients and your centers of influence, people who know you, you like them, they like you. Okay, anyway, second skill, pricing property. Pricing property is a skill. So sometimes, as hard as it may be, it's better to walk away from a listing with unrealistic sellers than to try to take them on and say, okay, well, we'll see what happens, and they don't want to come down, and you're frustrated, and they're frustrated, and it's just not worth your time. So when you're taking on a listing, pricing it to sell is certainly a skill that you need to develop. Number 3 is administration. So I have a really cool example for administration. So this is the administrative tasks of your business. And as real estate salespeople, we should all aspire to sell real estate and have somebody do the administration for you. Put the listings in MLS. So if you think about it, I'm going to share some numbers with you. And I thought that they were pretty interesting. So I have this year I pulled, which is not my best, it's my worst year in 5 years. I had a baby, I'll let it go. And then I pulled my best year in the business. So this year, and I track all of my numbers, every hour that I'm on the phone prospecting averages about $288 an hour. $288 an hour. My best year in the business, that year I ended at $627 an hour. So that's, when I'm on the phone, that's how much money I make an hour if you look at everything I make based on the calls. So, all right, let's just say my worst year, $300 an hour. So if I'm on the phone, I know I'm going to make an average of $300 an hour. If I'm having my assistant schedule appointments or put listings into the MLS, people pay their assistants somewhere between $10 and $20 an hour. It kind of makes you think of where your time is the most valuable. Your time is the most valuable being in front of clients and generating, not doing administration tasks. So the next step, dealing with staff. So the administration thing, I'm not saying that like, hey, look at my numbers. It's really just to make you think, where your time is best spent, and to strongly consider having someone pick up the administration side. And then, so number 4 is dealing with your staff. So that's a skill that needs to be developed. And of course, some of you have been in the business, some of you are brand new, and everybody's in different places. But I think it's a shared aspiration that everybody should want to get to that point where they have somebody working with them, because you're making more money doing real estate sales than real estate administration. Okay, I'll move on. Customer service. So this ties back in with working with your past clients, working with your sphere, because they're going to give you referrals because you gave them great customer service. So something I've always it's always tough for me. When I go on listing appointments, the number one complaint that I hear is they put a sign in my yard, it went in the MLS, I didn't hear from them. I had no idea what's going on. We had showings, I didn't get feedback. And I think it all kind of ties to poor customer service. And it's hard, especially when you start having like 10 to 20 listings, keeping up with everyone. So I've made a little system for myself that works well, and I call it Follow-Up Fridays. And I say that listing appointments, it's cheeky, it's fun, it's cute, but if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So every Friday afternoon, I do nothing but follow up with all my sellers. We talk about our showings, we talk about feedback. It's probably one of the most, and I tell my sellers, it's one of the most difficult phone calls I can make. If, there's weeks that go by, there's no showings, nothing's happening. But I promise them, so I'm gonna call them once a week, every single Friday, and they're always kinda gonna feel updated. I've gotten to a point now where sellers they'll have a question and they won't call me because they know I'm gonna call them anyway on Friday, so they'll just wait, which is a beautiful thing because I don't wanna answer my phone. We get enough phone calls, so if you can teach them that, hey, not to say that, you get an offer, you call them Monday or Tuesday or whatever. So, customer service is a skill, and it goes beyond that. I mean, obviously, Follow-Up Fridays, one good thing, you can offer a service to them and make sure that they feel taken care of and that you're really working towards getting their home sold. But, customer service can be anything with working with buyers. Good customer service, I feel, is following up with your past clients. That's good customer service. And, following up during the transaction process. So number 6 is business planning. Who has their business plan done for 2016? Yeah, I can't even raise my hand. Mine's not done yet. I have it's getting there. But planning for your business is a skill.
Yeah,
So,
Jeff,
yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of new agents. John McClintock's class is, I recommend for every new agent to sit down to get your business plan done.
I went to his class. It was fabulous.
And I go every year. I mean, I still know how to do it, but I need John to help me do it.
Your
So-
business plan can be as simple as this, and I'm gonna do this in my car. Like, the simplest business plan ever is to get a 3x5 card. Number 1, how many deals do you wanna do in 2016? I think I wrote this down the other day. Number 2 was, how many listings are you gonna take? You got a list to last. Listings, focus on how many listings are you gonna take for 2016? And then, I don't know, what's your average commission check? $5,000, somewhere around there? It's a good number. Times whatever, however many transactions you want for 2016 by your average commission check. There's your goal. Those 3 things. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write it on a 3x5 card today and put it on the visor of my car. So it'll be one of the things you can look at before you go on the listing appointment. All right, you're gonna be number 1. I actually did that one year, and I don't know why I stopped, but I guess you do things, you forget. Anyway, so there's your business plan. How many transactions, how many listings are you gonna take, how much money will you make?
Our car is our second office.
It is.
To have your stuff.
Yeah, put it on your visor.
Like that.
Put it on your visor, and you can, or maybe write some affirmation, I don't know, do whatever you wanna do. But having it in front of you, and obviously, the last class I taught was on goal setting, motivation, and mindset. Your business plan doesn't mean anything, and the goals don't mean anything unless you understand why you're doing it. So what are you working towards? Getting out of debt, going to Paris, tummy tuck. What are you working towards? And that's the fuel that's gonna keep you going. Yep, they're all mine. Tracking numbers. I could probably teach a class in of itself just on tracking numbers. Hey, Howard,
Hi, Jess.
how you doing?
I'm good. Is there a sign-in sheet?
Yeah, there is a sign-in sheet. So there's an app, I think it's called Sales Fit, and it's I'll have to double check. I know I have it written down somewhere. If not, obviously I track my numbers through Mike Ferry, but it's really just so cool to know. I'll share my numbers, Howard.
Okay.
It's really, really cool to know, like for me, I break it all down. So I know how many people I have to talk to before I make a listing appointment. How many people do I have to talk to before I actually take a listing? and, you know, income generated per contact, income generated for hour prospected. So it's a low year for me, Howard. I'm at about $300 an hour on the phone. So every hour I'm on the phone prospecting. If you look at all of my numbers, my best year was $627. I'm gonna
Per
get back
hour?
per hour. That was
We
2013.
pay a lot of money.
Well, and that's the thing, I was talking about, administration and how much you pay people to put houses on the market, things like that, and it kinda, you know, puts things in perspective, where your time is best spent. This is where your time is best spent. What was my point? Oh, well, this is just a kind of fun side note. This year, every contact, every person I talk to try to get to buy or sell, is $46 a contact. So if somebody could hang up on me, be having a bad day, be horrible,
And
And
still
I
make
can think.
$46.
that was $46. So it's interesting. So tracking your numbers will do a couple of things. It becomes fun because then you have like a guideline. So you know what numbers are good for you, what numbers are not good for you. And I mean, overall, I think it's just really good to know. It's a skill. Tracking your numbers is a skill.
What was your volume this year?
I'm not gonna say it on camera. It's a bad year for me. I'll tell you later.
All right.
You wanna know my volume on my best year? I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
yes.
Practice, so tracking numbers. I broke down the class into a couple of parts. I took the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat, took like 46 pages of notes in 4 days. It was intense. Yeah. So this was the second one, just different fundamentals. So fundamentals we talked about, here's our skills that we're developing, and then mastering skills. Mastering skills is my favorite part. All right. So the next
I have a
one,
question.
yeah, go for it.
When you're talking to a contact and it's
Uh-huh.
$46 per
Mhm.
contact, is that someone in your sphere? Is that an expired? Is that for sale by owner?
It's
Or-
anybody that I'm talking to, looking for business. So it could be a past client, it could be somebody that called off a realtor.com or something, like any contact. So we track every single contact. And I have a goal, of course, for how many contacts I have to make a day, which is 20. And it sounds so easy, but, you know, to talk to 20 people a day, it takes a couple hours.
Mhm.
But it pays off. So, and planning your time or managing your time efficiently, that was number one on my list for today. All right, so practicing scripts, and it's hard, and I say this story all the time with regard to scripts. The very first time I called an expired listing using a script, I got so flustered I hung up on them because I just like froze up and I'm following a script and I didn't know what I was doing and I hung up on them. And you know, now I think I've been doing it 3 or 4 years every single day. So now like I could be mid-conversation in Power Hour with Joel or somebody else, and then the phone picks up and I can turn and just be on and I know exactly what I'm saying. And it's not because I'm so great, it's just because I've practiced and have done it over and over and over and over
Unconscious competence.
until it just becomes second nature. Now the script doesn't sound like a script at all. It just sounds like I'm having a conversation and I know what the next question is to ask. I know how to respond to their answers. I've handled all the objections a million times. So anybody can say almost anything to me or give me any objection and I'll know what to say, and it's just by practice. So practicing scripts so that it becomes second nature. That's your goal. And it's weird at first. I remember I did I first heard role playing and I thought, I'm not into that. Like, what is role playing? It doesn't sound good to me. I'm not interested. And then, you know, but it's so important to do because if you're not role playing and learning the scripts with another agent, you're role playing and learning the scripts on the clients, and that's expensive. So, you know, I think I'm at a point now where I've developed and I've internalized, and so it's not as important for me to role play because I do it every day. I know it so well. But I do want to role play the listing presentation some more. So anybody who wants to be my role play partner, it's not weird, I promise.
I'll do it with you.
Yeah, good. Controlling mindset.
I would be the seller, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's how I'm going to practice.
Right.
You can give me objections, it'll be fun. kind of
Yeah, I've
scared.
heard them all.
That's the thing. Handling objections was one of the skill sets. And Howard can attest to this. The objections never change. Like, you don't really get there's no new objections. They're all
Every
the
now and then
same.
you get an irrational person and it's a new objection, but they're irrational, so it doesn't count.
Yeah. The objections never change. Will you cut your commission? How, working with another agent? I don't know, give me some objections. They're all
Like
the
a
same.
I wanted to try 275, not 250.
Yeah, yeah. We can list higher and come down. That's an objection. Okay, so controlling your mindset. This is probably my number one biggest thing because it's so easy to get wrapped up in like personal things going on and learning to compartmentalize everything and come in here with a good attitude. Attitude, approach, and expectation is mastering. So we'll get there. But having a good mindset, and I think you said something about the subconscious mind that I just want to bring up. The more good stuff you put in your brain, in regards to mindset, what I've learned is the more good stuff you can jam into your brain. Motivational books, being around
Affirmations.
good people, doing affirmations, doing a gratitude list. The more you can do that, your subconscious mind will follow. But if you watch the news, get involved with gossip, you know, be around negative people, it's going to affect your mindset. So it's certainly something you can control and that you should protect as best as you can because it's everything. Everything starts in your mind. Every idea, everything that happens to you is something that you thought out beforehand. So, I don't know. I did a whole class on, well, controlling mindset, goal setting, and motivation. But they're all
Did you go to Quantum Leap?
years ago.
Okay.
Years ago. Goal setting and motivation. So these are all different skills. And I did a class just on mindset, goal setting, and motivation, but they're worth mentioning again because it's skills that you should develop moving forward as a real estate agent. Business systems is number 11. And that's one cool thing about Keller Williams. There's so many different systems in place. Like people are like, oh, I get your emails all the time. Do you? Okay, good. Do you like them? What was it? I don't even know what's going out, but there's a system in place that does all of that for you. And then there's, you know, also different systems. Like for me, the best systems I can have is with my assistant breaking down the transaction process because there's so many moving parts and dates. So we have a system in place. We know when the mortgage commitment is due. We have this, like everything is kind of planned out so that we're on track and giving good customer service. But so having good business systems. Number 12 is understanding different personality styles. So I know I don't use the same model as Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the disc. For me, I have the drivers. That's a D. It's the same. You know, people who are very. Once you understand the different personality styles, you're almost like an actress and a chameleon. And you know, working with that client within whatever personality style they have. So I know if I have a driver, I'm going to be very direct, very to the point, very, you know, no fluff, no nonsense, no chatter, get them to sign the contract, and everything's very black and white with the driver. With an amiable, that's like an S. An amiable person, they're going to be so nice, and they're going to agree with you, and they're just going to love you, love you, love you. And that's how I play to them. So, you know, I know that they're a talker, and they want to feel good and warm, and I can really put that on. What else? Amiable, driver. What's the I? The I.
Social. I is social.
That-
That's
Those
probably,
are the
that's probably
amiables.
more amiable.
Then you have the steady and then you have
Okay,
the
so I'm
counsel and
confusing like the
engineers.
Mike Ferry with the Keller Williams, but they're all the same, the four. So you got the driver, the amiable.
Security,
Steady.
What you put as the I, we call them expressives.
okay.
So these are very expressive type of people, and I'm expressive. That's in case you haven't noticed, like with my hands and this and anyway. So I'm definitely an expressive. So I meet an expressive, and I'm, you know, I can just be myself basically. And then the C is somebody. What do they call them? Analyticals. They're someone who really. They need the facts and figures like a driver, but they want to dissect it into a million pieces. And what about this, and what about that? And they want to know all the different scenarios. Anyway, when you know the different personality styles and you understand what kind of person it is that you're working with, you can become like them, because people want to work with people that are like them. So, you know, it's not like lying or cheating. This is a skill, and it will help you perform at a higher level.
I just
So-
lost the deal because I didn't recognize the kind of client I had.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of client were they?
Well, she was the executive editor of the Bucks County Courier Times, and she just retired. And I sent her a contract on the house, for her to sign. And what I should have done is I should have made an appointment with her, to meet with her and go over the agreement. But thinking that she was well-read, as an executive editor of a major newspaper, I thought she would be fine with the contract. Well, it turned out after the deal fell apart, that she didn't like that she said that, you didn't offer to come over and go over the contract with me until I asked you. So
Oy.
Right, so,
Yeah.
and then the deal fell apart and the listing expired and she's not relisting with me. And that's a $7,000 commission right down the tubes. So,
I
Was
told
it-
a story of how I lost a client because I didn't do effective past client follow-up. But the thing in our business, Howard, is you've been in the business how long? 25 years?
30 years.
30 years? I've been in business 10 years, so like a third of the time you've been in. But the one thing that we're both demonstrating is it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, you're always still learning and growing.
And you make mistakes,
Always.
you know?
You're always learning.
And you know what's
you're always
even worse
growing.
than losing the $7,000? I disappointed a client. That really hurts me.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't do a good enough job to keep that client. The 7,000 is also a big incentive. But
Oh, Howard,
it was really the disappointment that I heard about.
I was telling them on my lead, this is my lead follow-up book, can you see how lovely it is? And it's like old and battered, and that's good because I touch it every day. But I started writing the amount of commission I would make on my leads. So it's like a huge insight, it's just a little side note, it's really cool.
Mhm.
But you look at the money you're gonna make and it makes a big difference, makes a huge
Will you
difference.
contact her again in, in a week or so and say, no, you
No,
want,
she made it abundantly clear that she was not relisting with me.
but I don't mean that part, I mean just the part that's, I'm sorry I took you for
No,
granted.
I said it in an email,
You did it all?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
and we're done. In fact, I got the use and occupancy permit from Southampton,
Right.
I'm gonna mail it to her. And we paid for that, and we won't get that money back. But that serves me no purpose, so I'll just mail it to her. But it happens, we all make mistakes,
How long will you dwell on that, will you, can
and I'm done.
You have to
you
start
can't
every day
even
at
get
zero.
that fast?
Yeah, we
You
went
don't
to
worry
the
about-
company Christmas party, and I won Flyers tickets, and I won cigars that day,
Oh,
so it's all over.
okay.
I got
You
fired
can't,
2
you
weeks
can't dwell on
ago.
it. I mean, you know,
I
how
let
many
myself be upset for 5 minutes, I was really upset I got fired,
Mhm.
and then you have to move on.
How
Sometimes
many-
it's so difficult to
It
let
is.
go.
It
Yeah,
is,
oh,
no, you
very
gotta let go.
difficult.
Let
Yeah,
go.
it is. But how many calls do you make a day that don't do anything? But when you look at it, you say, I'm making $600 an hour, I'm making $300 an hour, I'm making $46 every time I make a phone call, whether they,
But I have agents that come in and say, I'm so afraid to call because they say I'm the 5th Keller Williams agent that called, and, oh, it's the holidays coming up, so I shouldn't be calling. So you're gonna get those objections. I mean, I can't, how many contacts to a listing appointment?
let me tell you something, I
53.
took 3 properties off the market for the holidays, I withdrew them, which means Jessica's gonna call, and Joel's gonna call, and Loomis is gonna call, and all these people are gonna call. And I guarantee you, I took the property off the market that I lost, that I got fired on, she's not listening with Keller Williams, but she's gonna get 20 calls from Keller Williams agents.
I can't tell you how many times I've had people say I had a bad experience with Keller Williams. I'll never list with them, and I took the listing. So I got an objection handler for her. But anyway, every 53 people I talk to, I'll make a listing appointment. Every 79 people I talk to, I'll take a listing. So I can get FU, you're the 12th person to call, don't ever call me again. I can get that 49 times or
79 times,
whatever.
and you get a listing.
Every 50 people, they're gonna say, oh, well, you know, and you make the appointment, you go. All right, so we're moving on to mastering. These are skills that you're always gonna work on, and these skills need to be mastered. So, the first one is another one I've learned the hard way, and that's always asking good questions versus unnecessary chatter. And then I have a side note that my coach drilled into my head, I think 1,000 times, and that is telling is not selling. Selling is simply asking good questions.
How many people here show houses to buyers? When you walk out of every house, do you ask them, do you wanna buy the house? Every time?
No.
I ask for them opinion, right there, before we leave.
No, you don't ask their
Do
opinion,
you wanna make an
because
offer?
their opinion doesn't matter if they wanna make an
I'm
offer,
gonna
does it?
skip down to number 15, and that's be direct and not afraid of the response.
I showed a property to a friend of my wife's in Jersey, because my wife is not licensed in Jersey. She went with me. We showed the property to this person, we walked out of the house and said, would you like to buy it? And he went, I might. I wanna see the other one first, but I like this one, so I might buy this one. My wife and I get in the car and we drive away after, he's gonna make an offer on that one. We drive away and she says to me, I can't believe you do that. I said, do what? She said, you just asked him if he wanted to buy the house. I said, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Ask if they wanna buy the house. Be direct.
Be direct and not afraid of the response. They could say, it doesn't matter what they say, you gotta ask.
And then if they have an objection, maybe you can overcome that objection.
Because the objections never change, they're always the same. I think I have like a 50-page list on different objection handlers. Learn some of them. And that way when you
Yeah.
get it, I think it's 40 objection handlers.
That's okay.
And when you get the objection, you're gonna know what to say, and it's gonna spit out of your mouth, and you'll be like, wow, where did that come from? But they work. I mean, and sometimes they don't, but you gotta try. All right. So, first skill, asking good questions versus unnecessary chatter. So there's a part of me sometimes when I'm at a listing appointment, I just wanna talk, and I just don't wanna go on, and they don't, it's true, they don't care about you. They don't care.
After they sign the listing contract, you can chatter all you want, because they'll tell you when to leave.
They don't care what your dog looks like, how many kids you have, if you're a number one agent in your office, like, what award, they don't care about you. It's,
Sometimes that might be hard with those influence.
High-eye people.
Yeah, high-eye people, because
Yeah.
I think
They're very
sometimes
social.
that's what you need a little bit maybe
well,
to establish a
that's part of
rapport.
understanding personality
Yeah, but
styles.
You gotta know where to stop.
Yeah, because I know, because I'm a high eye.
I'm
So you
not.
get me around another high eye, I'm at a listing appointment for like 2 hours, like this is not gonna work. Anyway, all right, so asking good questions, who, what, when, where, why, how, instead of telling somebody something, turn it into a question. So that way you're not telling them, and they're just gonna reject what you tell them anyway. You're a realtor, salesperson, they want it, they don't want you to tell them. Ask good questions, you can never know enough about your clients' motivation, what their plans are, you can never know enough about them. Ask good questions. And then the next point, actually listening to what they say versus thinking in your head of what you're gonna say next. I'm guilty. You're a high eye, you're guilty. Because people will talk and I'll be like, oh, that's a response, that's what I'm gonna say. But you have to
It's the ADD that's kicking in.
listen to what they're saying to you. You can never know enough about your clients. So we kind of talked about this one, but I really think it's a skill that needs to be mastered, and that's internalizing your scripts so that they become your own. And that's just done through role play, practice, trying to do it, getting through the call reluctance, and just getting to a point where I know when I'm on the phone, I don't sound like a telemarketer, I don't sound like I'm scripted, because I've said it so many times, it's really my own script at this point, like it's my own, and
How many people here have taken my for civil owner class?
Oh, I have.
Well, one of the lines that I say is, if I can show you how to use it, how to sell your home I just blew it. If I can show you how to net the same amount of money using my services as you would selling on your own, will you give me a half hour of your time?
that's my question too. I have the same question. I love that script. I love it. That's the best for sale by owner script. I'll just say that.
Well, that's the whole
best
idea. I'm gonna show you how to net the same amount of money and using my services.
And I have to say, a lot of agents with for sale by owner be like, oh, well, maybe I have a buyer and I have tons of buyers, and let me just come and take a look at your house and maybe I have a buyer. And I just think that's bullshit. I think if you're going in and you're being direct and not afraid of what they're gonna say, and, just, hey, you're stating
I
what you're
always tell them,
intending
I
to
don't
do.
know if I have a buyer. I have never seen your house.
So I like that.
The idea is to get the appointment, but you don't wanna get it under false pretenses.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Number 4, this is so critical, put a star next to it, turning your leads into appointments as soon as possible. Because everybody has the same leads. So, as soon as you have a lead, your goal is to make an appointment with them whether it's a buyer or seller, make an appointment with them as soon as possible. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Everybody has the same needs.
When I was brand new in the business, the broker I worked for taught me that once you take out a buyer and you're showing them houses, if they don't wanna buy any of the houses that you show them, then you close for the next appointment. Because if you say to them, let me see what I can find, you're never gonna look for what they're gonna get. So if you close for the next appointment, they can't cheat on you, and you're closing for the next available time they have, so they can't cheat on you. And you're putting yourself under a certain amount of pressure to set up properties to show them.
I have a good follow-up one for sellers, when you're working with like when you go into a listing appointment and they say, well, I'm interviewing, like the one I had, I'm interviewing 6 agents, and I'm not making a decision until I interview all 6, and then I'll decide. My new go-to is, okay, that's great, and I'd like to schedule a time to come out and meet with you just 10 minutes after you're done interviewing, and I want the opportunity to be able to offer you anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about. And, I mean, well, it worked the last time.
That's
But
great. I like that.
it's making, you have that lead, making an appointment, just getting back in the door, being the last. I love being last. It's not always possible.
You wouldn't like being last if I was ahead of you.
Well, if I know they're interviewing other agents before me, I'll say, would you do me a favor?
I'll tell
Please.
the seller that I'll call and
Oh, I
cancel
know
the
you will.
appointment.
But please don't sign anything with anyone, until I have that opportunity to offer you anything we didn't talk about. All right, we'd be fine in a competitive situation. So turn your leads
My
into
biggest problem
appointments.
is I don't compete anymore. Most of
Yeah.
my stuff is referral, so I get a phone call, Howard, come list our house. So I don't have the skills that Jessica has anymore.
Well, you need to develop these skills.
If I wanna do more
Well, these are
business.
skills that you need to master if you want to do more business. Well, everybody wants to do more business. And I know we talked about you can't know enough about your client, but really measuring their motivation is so important. I call unmotivated clients dirt. Not because I'm mean, but because if you look at the most basic forms of prospecting, it's people digging for gold. And the gold is the motivated clients. Dirt is people that are not motivated.
That surrounds the gold.
And nobody can perform, it doesn't matter how great of a salesperson you are, we're not alchemists. We cannot turn dirt into gold. We can't follow up with an unmotivated person so much that they're gonna become motivated. So just cut your losses and work with people who are truly motivated. That's the goal, that's what we're looking for. So I've just broken it down into digging for gold. Can't turn dirt into gold. So you understand the client's motivations. Where was I? Market stats, knowing your market stats, back and forth. Know how many houses are on the market, what the absorption rate is, and we can do a whole class just on market stats. But it's really good to know when you're in front of clients, being able to, show the market honestly and effectively. It helps with price reductions as well. This is a very interesting one, and one that I see way too often. Keeping your ego out of the conversation. I don't think there's any other business that's in existence where there's so many egos, so much ego. I have one agent I'm dealing with who says, oh, well, my assistant handles everything, and I don't get involved, and I do this and that, and that. It's just like, wait a second. Don't you care about your transactions? Your name's on this. How is your ego so big that, and I understand you have processes and systems, but I think it comes into play too at listing presentations. People will come in, well, I'm number one and this and that, and look at me, and I think none of that should be a part of it, and, unless that's what they need. It's really all about your client, their motivation, and you're doing a job for them. It's not about you. We love to cash checks. It's not about us cashing checks. It's about us helping families move. What was it? Ego. Okay. So I think as long as you know, as long, you keep your ego in check, and it's about helping them. It's all about helping them, working for them, doing what's best for them. It's all about the client, not keep your ego out of it.
Can I add something? One of the mega agents said, whenever you talk to other agents, you don't say that they're my buyers.
Right.
Yes,
They're not my buyers,
the
they're
buyers.
my sellers. They're clients and
The buyer,
buyer
the
and
seller,
buyer.
not
They say, well,
mine.
my client,
Yeah, my client
That's not
this,
it.
and my client, yeah, it's ego. It's not about winning or losing, it's about helping people move. That's what we do, we help them move. This is another biggie, maybe a star on this one. Focus on dealing with distractions. I think in today's day and age, and this year and this time, I mean, I get so distracted, I go to my phone to call a client, so I go, okay, I gotta call back,
Facebook notification.
I gotta call back Bobby, Susie, whoever, and I open my phone and, oh, look at that, look at this, I gotta know, oh, they like that, and, you know, there's so many distractions. Another place it applies to is, when I'm prospecting. I'm looking at Facebook, I'm doing this, and it's so easy to get distracted. Another one on here, I think it's called creative avoidance. I'll skip it when we get there, but I think it ties in. So not only do you have to eliminate the distractions to stay focused, you also have to be careful of what I call creative avoidance techniques. And that's when you're supposed to be doing something and then you think, oh, I do need to get milk, or, you know, I gotta do this, and just creatively avoiding what you're supposed to do. So just keep that in mind. So eliminate all your distractions. No creative, I'm the most creative when it comes to like avoiding what I'm supposed to do. I get super fancy with it. Keeping your emotions between the lines is number 9. So keeping your emotions between the lines. In this business, we are on a roller coaster ride. It is up, it's down, there's loops. And I love this because like so here's the lines. This is super excited, this is completely depressed. Keep your emotions between it all. It doesn't matter what's happening, and that's part of mindset. So a deal's falling apart, or you know, I got 7 listings coming on the market. I could get super excited, but again, people change their mind, they list with another agent, things fall through. You can't get too excited. You can't get too depressed either. You're not going to get out of bed and make any more phone calls. You're not going to, you know, continue doing your job if you let certain things get to you. So like Olga and Howard say, you got to just let it go and start again at 0. You know, and you really do have to work on your motivation and your whys and why you're doing what you're doing and all the goal setting motivation. I can't stress any of that enough. You really need to have a good mindset and keep your emotions between the lines. So there's a saying, and I don't know where it came from, MMFI. Anybody know what it means? This will change your life. So if you look at everybody, imagine they have MMFI on their forehead, and that stands for make me feel important. This is a skill. Nobody cares about you. They only care about themselves. If you can make them feel important, you have a fan. So always make people feel important.
Everybody does what benefits them.
You will, I think that MMFI came from How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Another
It came
thing
from
is
that
to say
book.
their name.
Yes,
Say their
people love the
name.
sound of their own name. Don't forget people's names.
Always say their name.
What's your name again? Mm-hmm.
I went to that memory class to remember how to remember people's
Yeah.
names.
Just gotta
What
say
kind of
that.
class?
put in the dishwasher.
What kind of place?
It was a memory
Yes,
class.
we did that.
Oh,
Guy
cool.
came in here, and this room was full of people.
I remember that, it was
And he
impressive.
walked from the back
I wasn't
to
there.
the front and talked to everybody in the room on his way up. He remembered everybody's first and last name.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
And actually saw
Yes.
John McClintock walking out the back and said, "John McClintock, where are you going?"
Yeah.
But there were 40 people in this room,
Wow.
and he
It was
remembered
a very
every
good
person's
class.
name in 5 minutes that it took him to walk to the front of the class.
So just imagine, like, take a day and have fun with it. And imagine everybody that you meet has that MMFI on their forehead, and watch the response that you get. It's pretty amazing. And you make people feel important. All right, so that's MMFI. Ability to delegate is number 11. So there was, just kind of for an example, a long time where I would always say, I'm gonna do all the comps, and I need to know the comps back and forth and whatever before I go on listing appointments, and, and I couldn't delegate it. And now, I pretty much just pick up my listing packet and make sure I review them, but, you have to delegate certain tasks. Because remember,
That's one I got a problem with.
yeah, it's hard. And I'm stuck on the descriptions,
I
I
might
won't give
trust
that to
Maureen
anyone.
to do it, but I wouldn't trust anybody else.
Yeah. You teach them how you do it and you let it go.
Yeah, but I have such a diverse market. Like, I'm in
Yeah.
New Jersey, I'm in Pennsylvania, I'm in Philly, I'm in Trenton, and there's all kinds of different stuff, so I really wanna know the market where I'm going on that listing.
I mean, you can delegate other things as well.
I'm good at that.
So you have to think, do you wanna be a person who makes $10 to $20 an hour? Or do you wanna be a person who makes several $100s an hour? And all that's determined on your ability to delegate. So focusing your time on where it's best spent, where you're gonna make the most money, and delegating the $10 to $20 an hour jobs so that you can make more money. And you will. And number 12 is being efficient with your time. So it's it's a fundamental, and it's something that needs to be mastered. Look at that, I'm being redundant. Energy and enthusiasm, number 13. So in regards to energy and enthusiasm, one thing I say to new agents is I honestly believe in my bones the energy and enthusiasm you have when working with clients will beat a super experienced agent who doesn't have energy and enthusiasm. Energy and enthusiasm wins every time. Do you agree? I think so. So that's one good thing about being a new agent is you have that energy, you have that enthusiasm, you want to do great. That's going to work tremendously for you because sometimes, you've been doing it so long and you get burned out, and I get burned out, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't feel like doing this. And,
Add confidence to that.
confidence.
Have confidence and you say it.
Oh, yeah.
People will flock.
Yeah,
Even if you may not know what you're talking about.
yeah, be confident. Well, hopefully you do know what you're talking, and that gives you the confidence. Making strong professional presentations, number 14, is a skill that needs to be mastered. And back to what I was saying earlier, a good thing to have is maybe that, I don't know, were you here for setting goals, goal setting? For 2016, I made, because it's only Nancy in the room who has her 2016 goal done, or business plan done. Simple business plan, a 3-point business plan on a 3x5 card. Number 1, how many transactions do you want? Number 2, for 2016, how many listings are you gonna take? Number 3, how much money will you make? There's your business plan. Stick it on the visor of your car. So when you're at a listing appointment, before you go, take a look. Okay, those are my goals.
I have a spreadsheet
Sorry.
from the MREA book that will allow you to adjust certain things in it. So if you wanna make 200,000 GCI, you put 200,000 in that spot, you put your average sale price for buyers, your average sale price for sellers, your average commission.
And it'll calculate
and
it
it'll-
for you?
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, well, you can share it with us.
Mhm.
Making strong professional presentations. Number 15 was be direct and not afraid of the response, and I know we've already talked about it. And sometimes you just have to be direct, and you can't be afraid of what they're gonna say. I mean, when I'm on the phone talking to expireds, my first question is, when are you planning on interviewing the next agent to help you get that home sold? It's kind of a direct question, when are you interviewing? And I can't be afraid of what they're gonna say, because I know 49 times they're gonna say no, and 1 time they're gonna say yes. And it's knowing your numbers, tracking your numbers, and it's gonna give you more confidence to get out there. So, be direct and don't be afraid of the response. Don't be afraid because you can't control it. I have no control over what people are gonna say to me. The only thing I can control is knowing exactly what I'm gonna say to them, or which questions I'm gonna ask them. And then if you ask enough people, it's a numbers game. Joel has the best line, and that's, if you talk to enough people, somebody's gonna be dumb enough to work with you. And it's true. It's kind of a sad way to think of it, but it's true. Making strong professional presentations, don't be afraid of the response. Number 16, telling prospects and customers the truth. Just being honest. Don't say, oh, yeah, I think we can get that number if you know it's totally nuts, because in the end, only you're going to be frustrated. So it doesn't hurt, it doesn't make any sense to not be honest. Always be honest, always tell the truth about pricing. If you lose the listing over pricing, you never would have sold it anyway. Just be honest. Number 17, and I'm working on this, be relentless in all aspects of your business. I mean relentless. Shameful. Shameless. Be relentless. So I'm at the point now where, if I don't like it, the buyer's agent's not doing it. Like I have a transaction now, the buyer's agent's not doing his job, not following up. We've already had the settlement extent. I'm just calling the mortgage person direct myself. I'm just be relentless. I'm gonna do his job for him so I can get the deal closed for my client. But sometimes that's what you have to do. Is just be relentless. Do whatever it takes. Never say, oh, that's not my job. Because there's no such thing in this business.
Everything's your job if you wanna get a paycheck.
That's right.
Be relentless. Do whatever it takes to get that client to closing. And sometimes it's like, you need a drink afterwards.
I always need to check.
Yeah.
Number 18, and I put a star next to this and wrote a side note. Understand the importance of attitude, approach, and expectations. So you wake up in the morning, what's my attitude? How am I going to approach the day? What do I expect out of the day? So I have two side notes for attitude, approach, and expectations, because it's everything. I think Napoleon Hill said, whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right either way. So what's your attitude, approach, and expectation? What was my other side note? I forget. Number 19, using your self-discipline to your advantage.
Can you
So,
repeat that one?
Using your self-discipline to your advantage.
Thanks.
And it's a skill. And discipline is something that takes time. You're not going to be completely undisciplined and have a horrible diet and never work out to being super healthy the next day. It takes time. And I have a new motto that I've been using lately that's working for me. And I say it all the time, and that's, I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I say it so much that now I've promised myself, whenever I catch myself saying, I just don't feel like it, I have to force myself to do whatever it is. So it's kind of a game, like a mindset game I'm playing with myself. As realtors, we get so many phone calls, and we don't know the number. So this morning, the phone rings, and it's like 20 after 8. It's early. I'm not even in the office. And I don't recognize the number, and I hear myself say out loud, I don't feel like answering. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to answer it. And it was a seller telling me that after interviewing 6 agents, she decided to work with me.
Oh, good.
So, and then, yesterday, I had a listing appointment. I didn't feel like going. I didn't feel like it. So I just don't feel like it.
How could you not feel like going on a listening appointment?
I'm burnt out. I don't know. And I forced myself to go, and they said, listen, we're not interviewing anybody else, we're working with you. And I'm like, yeah, even at the dining room table, I didn't care. So you have to, sometimes you don't feel like it. You just don't feel like it. But that's the difference, I think, between what can make or break you. You can give into it, I don't feel like it, I'm not gonna do it. I didn't answer the phone, and maybe she's like, all right, well, I'll call the next agent and give it to that.
That's
Who
it.
knows? Who knows? So my new rule is whenever I don't feel like doing something, I have to do it. Using self-discipline to your advantage. And that works in every area of life. Dieting, family. And I really believe that the more disciplined you are, the more on schedule you are, the more you follow your schedule. You wouldn't think it, but it's true. The more freedom that you have. So for me, my hard rule is when every other weekend when I have my girls, I'm not working at all. I'm not going to work on nights, And I plan my time accordingly that I kind of have a 9-to-5 job, And that's the discipline that I have when I'm here allows me that freedom. So if I didn't have that discipline, I might be going, doing things out, Anyway, it works. I heard people say once to me, oh, I don't work weekends. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? How do you not work weekends as a realtor? And I'm telling you, you can do it. mean, I still love my open houses, but what are you gonna do?
Ugh,
Um,
I hate open houses.
I love them.
Huh?
It's attitude towards expectations. I'm gonna go into my open house, I'm gonna have a great day. I have a great script for open houses, I know I perform well at open houses, I'm gonna get some clients, I'm gonna sell this house. That's my attitude, my approach, and I expect it.
I wanna be down the shore drinking a Mai Tai. I'll have a much better time.
I do them every other weekend.
Look, I'm not saying I don't ever do them, I just prefer not to.
Yeah. Attitude, approach, expectation. All right, number 20, we're almost done here, guys. There's 31 points, we're on number 20. Not being attached to the outcome. So, and we kind of talked about this before, but, you know, whenever I ask a question, I don't know what they're gonna say. I have a new pending, it falls apart. If you're not attached, it's not gonna affect you as much. You do what you're supposed to do every single day, and detach yourself from the outcome, because you really don't have that much control beyond doing what you're supposed to do. That's all you have control over. Number 21 is awesome, and that's using humor to diffuse stressful situations. So have a couple good jokes. You know, sometimes when I'm doing listing presentations, I can see they're getting a little, you know, anxious or stressed, and sometimes I'll tell a joke just to kind of release or, you know, loosen them up a little bit.
Actually, humor is part of my listing presentation. There's like some
Yeah,
parts of my listing presentation when I'm going through, I make jokes.
yeah,
Like, Mr. and Mrs. For Sale by Owner, you can't say that you don't know a good agent now,
right, exactly,
you know? And
exactly.
they get a chuckle out of it, and, you know, we move on.
If
It's
you
like
get
a
them
script.
laughing.
It's a script.
It's a script.
There you go.
It's definitely a script.
Sometimes I joke with expireds on the phone. They're like, oh, you know, how do I get people to stop? And I say, just tell them you're working with Jessica, or you're talking to Jessica at Keller Williams, and they'll hang up on you. It's fine. So it is a joke. It's just, it's funny,
I like
and
when-
then
I like
release.
I like when For Sale by Owner say, didn't you read the ad? It says no brokers. And I say, yeah, I wanted to thank you for eliminating my competition.
That's a good one.
Isn't it?
But using
And
sense of
sometimes it
humor-
backfires, but
Yeah, sometimes
if
they
it
don't
does,
think it's
it's
funny.
$46.
Exactly. So using sense of humor to relieve stress, because it's what we do is really stressful. So if I hear them laughing, I know they're more relaxed. It's, you know, you gotta relieve some of the tension sometimes.
Stress, the most stressful times in your life are when you're going to buy or sell a house, or when you're getting married and planning a wedding. Those are
Having
the
a
two
baby.
most stressful times in anybody's life.
And that's all we know people as. It's funny, every CPS clients after you're not working with them anymore, and they're like totally different people. Like, whoa, where'd you come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Alright.
I live in a neighborhood where I sell a lot of people houses. And I see them, because I'm chairman of the homeowners association, and it's funny how different they are after settlement,
Mm-hmm.
because their stress is gone.
You're working with people during the most stressful time of their lives. It's hard. Number 22 is developing business maturity. So you have to, you know, I hear so many times that we're just an independent contractor, we can do whatever the heck we want, we can make our own hours, all this. And I think if, you know, developing business maturity is not really much anything more than understanding that you're running a business. You're really running a small business. So, you're not just some independent contractor out there on your own. You're growing your own business. And I think if you can look at it that way and treat it that way, you'll be more mature with your business. So number 23, I know not everybody has a coach, but becoming more coachable. And that could be for anything. Coming to these classes is becoming more coachable. Being open to new ideas, you know, and always, you know, no matter how long you've been in the business, there's always room to grow, there's new lessons to learn. So being more coachable is just being open to ideas other than what you think. Makes sense? I don't know if it makes sense.
It does. When I first got into business, the training was, there's a desk there's a phone, look at, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have had a Keller Williams back in 1986 when I started, I would be so far ahead of where I am. I never did this before. Until I got to Keller Williams, I never set my goals. I never knew how. People would say, set your goals. You have to write them down. Well,
You know
you
why?
could write it down, but if you don't have a plan to get there, it
You know
doesn't
why,
matter.
Howard, I think? Because goal setting is not taught in the home, and goal setting is not taught at schools. I mean, did anybody ever have a parent sit them down and say, this is goal setting and this is what you have to do? Anybody go to school and have a teacher say, hey, this is how you set goals and achieve goals? It's not taught in the home or in the school. So people hear it, they're like, what the heck is goal setting? What do you mean? It's not
And
wishing.
even though you write your goals down, you have to have a plan to get there.
I did that. When I was in my early 20s, I sat in an office I worked, I had a legal pad, and I thought, if I could buy a duplex, and then another, then I'll have 5 duplexes, and someday they'll each be worth $50,000. And to me, that $250,000, that was a hell of a lot of money. But I ended up with 3. But I did that just because I wanted money, I guess, I don't know.
Mhm.
But
So
I
you
did that
set
at 20.
goals. Imagine if you didn't set goals, maybe you would have only gotten 1.
Or none.
Yeah, so there's 2 trains of thought, I think, on goal setting. One is shoot for the moon and you'll land on a star. Like, set them so high and you'll get further. And then the other train of thought I hear is, be very realistic so that if you don't hit it, you're not so disappointed. So I don't know what is the best method for goal setting, but looking at my past years, like what I shot for this year was very low because I knew, I'm just coming back from having a baby. And then my best year in real estate, I shot super high, way too high. I came nowhere near it, but it was my best year in real estate. So I think this is proof. Maybe we go for the moon.
And shoot above the bullhorn if it's on above. So,
Yeah.
above, you might hit what you want.
All right, fine. Shoot high. Being more coachable. So number 24, lead generating versus waiting. I have found, and unless you guys know a 4th way, that there's only 3 ways to get business. You can wait for it. An example of that is floor time, you're waiting. Open houses, you're waiting. I don't know, you're waiting for the phone to ring. You can wait for it. You can buy it. So pay for internet leads, pay, referral, whatever, so you can buy it. Reducing commission is kind of buying your business. And number 3 is you go get it. You go find it. So understand the difference between lead generating and waiting. Lead generating is the number 1 skill that needs to be mastered. Number 25, practice and learning scripts versus saying whatever the heck is on your mind. So for years when I went on listing appointments, I never had a great script to follow, and I would always just go in and kind of wing it. And I think a lot of agents just go in and wing their listing presentation. Wing it. Like,
Nadine
okay,
does that.
we'll fly by the seat of our pants, see what happens. But when I started the scripts, at least now I have a guideline, and every time I go in, it's the same every single time. It's the same questions every single time. My listings ratio shot up big time. So now I know, following the scripts and doing what I'm doing, and I'm still developing my skills and still learning and still growing, but I know 70% of the time I'm going to go in and take the listing, which is a lot better than it used to be when I was just winging it. So it's just kind of proof that at least having a guideline, you know what questions you're going to ask, it becomes more predictable. I only have a couple more points, Howard. So,
We're good.
and that's the next one just ties right into that. Understanding, we call them canned presentations, will make you great. So you can go in and wing it, or you can go in and have a strong canned presentation, which is nothing more than a list of questions. Doing it over and over and over and over again, it's going to make you great. And listing presentations are one of those kind of scary things. You go, and if you're not that skilled or you don't have that much experience, it can be like, it's a difficult thing. But when you do it all the time and you go on them all the time and you know exactly what to say, it's almost like a sport. Like, get me in there. I'm on the phones, like, I just want to get in the game. I just want to go on an appointment, and it becomes a lot more fun.
It's like driving a car. We don't concentrate when we drive a car anymore. When you were 16, you're like, but now that you've been doing it for years, you could just get in the car and go.
Yeah.
You don't even think twice about it. It's called unconscious competence.
Eliminating distractions for driving cars too, because I'm just like, all right, the next one, that ties into that again is embracing repetitious boredom. So I'm telling you, what you have to do to become great is the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's so boring. When I'm on the phone and it's just ringing, it's just boring. It's repetitious and it's boring, and that's part of life, and you have to embrace it. So it's a skill to just embrace the repetitious boredom, because it's boring and it's lonely. You just need to. It just is what it is.
Just
Suck
keep
it
on
up.
thinking about that $46.
Think about the skill set of cashing checks. It's worth the repetitious boredom. I told them cashing checks is the skill. Number 28, dealing with rejection and accepting embarrassment on a daily basis. I get embarrassed all the time, so it's a good thing. I get rejected all the time, and this is a good thing. You have to embrace it and deal with it. And like Olga and Howard say, you gotta let it go. I give myself like a 5-minute pity party. But after that, you have to let it go and move on to the next, because it's a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. You're gonna get rejected, you're gonna do things that are totally embarrassing, and that's just part of the business. Last couple of points. Number 29, accepting reality versus fantasy land. Not only do you have to accept reality over fantasy land, so do your clients. Because there's two parts. When I deal with listing appointments, one of my sayings is, when I'm going over the comps, is there's two parts of this research. Part one is what we call fantasy land. This is what homeowners list their homes for. Part number 2 is reality. This is where homes are really selling. Where do you want to spend your time? Reality or fantasy land? It's very direct. I can't be afraid of what they're going to say. Depends on who I'm talking to too. Like, I might soften it or be more sharp depending on the personality style. But you know, you have to live in reality. Get your head out, and that's in every area of your life. Number 30, not letting creative avoidance behavior run your business. I think we talked about it, but it's so important. You need to talk about it again. Creative avoidance is huge in this business because we're all independent contractors. Nobody can tell us what to do. You know, we don't have a boss. We can run our own business. So you can really just avoid working altogether all day long. Very, very creatively. Nancy's shaking her head.
Watch Hallmark every day of the week.
I baked cookies yesterday.
Yes.
That's
So
my business, so I baked cookies instead of doing something else to get my business going.
yeah, that's creative avoidance. Oh, I gotta make cookies. That's creative avoidance. So don't let it run your business. You know, just have a small, simple schedule of what you're supposed to follow every day and treat it like a real job. It's easier said than done. And the last point is probably the third time I'm gonna say it. But the last point that you need to master is to start every day at 0. And again, it took me a long time to really understand what that meant. And I think it's nothing more than just not resting on your laurels. You have so many listings, you have so many pendings, you think you're good, and you start creatively avoiding your business because everything's okay. But when you come in and start every day at 0, and 0 means you have no business. What happened yesterday doesn't matter, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You have no listings, you have no pendings, and you start every day that way, hungry. And then
Every time you have a settlement, you get fired.
running out of steam. That was a lot of points, right, guys?
That was excellent.
Good, thanks. So that was part of the Superstar series. That, the next class, I don't know, you guys tell me, what would you rather see? Prospecting or time management? They're not as fun. Prospecting and lead follow-up will be the next class.
Okay.
I'll put time management in there, because nobody likes to talk about that stuff. So prospecting and lead follow-up will be the next class,
Remember that, but
next month, 2016. Yeah,
I think you should do a listing presentation class, Jeff.
it's after that. Yeah, I'll do a listing presentation class after that. I'm gonna do, the 5-step listing process that I follow. All right, guys, thanks for coming.
Thank you. And Howard's gonna show us stuff.
Yeah,
this is just an Excel spreadsheet that allow, see the things in blue, allow you to change the things in blue.
thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
I want to net 200,000 in income this year. That means I have to generate $327,868 in gross revenue. My average sale price is $246 for sellers and $232 for buyers. Okay? My average commission is higher. John McClintock and I went over this. My average commission for sellers is 2.9. So I can change this to 2.9. And now it changes everything else.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's in the public drive, under John McClintock business plan.
Yeah, well, that's the spreadsheet that is from the MREA book. If anybody wants a copy of the spreadsheet, I'll send it to you.
Thanks for co-hosting my class.
Oh, thanks, I didn't mean to butt in on you, but I was having fun.
No, Howard, you're an excellent resource to have on this stuff.
Okay. My conversion rate for sellers is 80%. My conversion rate for buyers is 65%. If you don't know what your conversion rate is, just use the office's conversion rate, and that's probably about what it is. Okay? And you can adjust these numbers any way you want. You want to make, and what happens is it tells you how many monthly listing appointments you need and how many monthly buyer listing appointments you need. So for example, I need a little over 4 listing appointments a month and 3 buyer appointments a month. In order to do that, I need I need 94.05 appointments per year, both buyer and seller. And my volume will be 11,700,000. And somewhere around here it was weekly. Maybe it's not on this one.
Yeah, you have to break it down yourself, or they only do.
Yeah, I guess you
monthly.
gotta break it down yourself, but if you think about it, I need 4 selling appointments, so I need 1 listing appointment a week, and a little less than 1 buyer appointment a week. So, somewhere it says, yeah, no, that's the number of appointments. And Jessica went over the numbers that she knows for hers that say how many phone calls she has to make to get that listing appointment. Okay. And this is actually John McClintock's. And it probably explains things a little better than mine. So, anybody want this?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on the P drive.
Is it on the P drive?
It's on the P drive. It's not underneath the folder or anything, it's right on the P drive.
What's it called?
John
business plan.
McClintock's business plan or something like that.
Is it on a folder or a separate document?
No, it's right here.
Oh, okay.
John McClintock, MREA, business plan.
Howard, you said you need so many listings on sale, and you say you don't really have to do anything because people call you, but do you ever prospect?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do when you do?
Well, first of all, you have to understand there's different ways to prospect. I don't do power hour, although I could probably benefit from it. But I belong to the Langhorne Borough Business Association. I'm a Republican committee man in my township. I hang out at a bar, and all of my business comes from social. Well, you're laughing,
That
but
is,
You
but that
said
is
that-
your hour of prospecting, is when you hang out with the people you know.
Yeah.
So,
I just sold a house. I just settled on a house last month in Langhorne from one of the guys I met at the bar a few months ago. He said, "Hey Howard, I want to buy my daughter a house," and I showed him a house. I actually showed him a couple, and he made an offer on one. And bartender just bought a house for me and sold his house for me. Okay, and you can't swing a dead cat in the Langhorne Hotel without hitting another realtor. Okay, there's a lot of realtors that hang out there, but I get almost all of the business. You know, there's Amy Johnson goes there. Rich Beaumont, who owns REO Complete,